Hey, guys, Alex V. Spells here, your voice manager, and I unmute the voice of women ready to speak up about what has kept them silent for way too long. I'm excited about this episode for a few reasons. Right now, money management, um, as far as you being a business, as far as you individually, it is like some of you have been just kind of throwing it in the wind and kind of seeing where it lands. And we don't have a plan. And it goes back a little deep because I think a lot of us don't have a plan because generationally, we have not had a financial plan in many, many households across the world. There was no financial plan. And so this year, we got hit with a setback. And many did not know how they were going to handle it or had no means to handle it. Jobs shut down everywhere, events shut down everywhere, or went to a digital platform, and people were not really, they were not accustomed to it, and they darn sure didn't know what to do with it. So I think if we start at the beginning and go back to what the plan should be, then it'll put us in a different position for us to be able to be successful and end the year strong. With that being said, I have an amazing guest for you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm excited because this is going to be your take it all back plan, your comeback plan. I think that's what we're going to title it, your comeback plan, your financial comeback plan. And so I want you guys to take some very detailed notes so that way you can not be in the same position 2021 and the years to follow. With that being said, introduce yourself to the studio audience and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me on. My name is Dr. Ranelli Williams, and I am a certified public accountant and a profit strategist. I'm also a money mastery coach, and what I do is help my clients to really put a firm financial structure in place. I do it with entrepreneurs, but I also do it with people in their personal lives as well. And just to make sure that we are increasing cash flows and strategizing on putting profits aside in our bank accounts so that we can eventually build generational wealth and do what the Bible says, that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
With that being said, and knowing where we are in the midst of all of this confusion and chaos, how do we get back to number one? Like, how do we get back to starting in order for us to not be in the same position for next year?
Yeah. The first thing I would definitely say is mindset. We have got to, understand that the buck stops with us and that, wherever we aren't today, that doesn't determine our future, right? So we just have to make a determination that, listen, I am not going to be caught in this situation again, where the rug is, and for a lot of people, the rug is being pulled from under them, right? Where the rug is being pulled from under you, but you have no strategy in place. You have no nest egg, right? And so it starts with your mindset. I am actually getting ready to release a book next month called Wealthy Habits, and the W in wealthy stands for wire your mindset for success. We have got to, just think and believe that we can and we should have more and we should have abundance and we should be doing better than we're doing. And so we just have to have that mindset of success. And that's the first step to take you where you want to be.
I can definitely agree with you there. That mindset of success, it's interesting because we think that the mindset of success means I have to be a millionaire. The mindset of success is I have to make 6 and 7 figures. And in all actuality, the mindset of success starts in a different area. It's I can achieve the goals that I set. Like, that's the first kind of level of that mindset to success. Man, this year we've gotten knocked around, and our finances have been, for many, they've taken a hit. What would you tell them is the first thing for them to do financially to kind of get back on track?
Yeah. So just develop that mindset of resilience that this is not going to take me out, right? You have got to, then your actions have to match, right? So it can't be just sit back and think, yeah, I can do better, but you do nothing to make things better, right? So you have to now take the action to make things better. And so you have to ask yourself, what do I want to see for my financial, right? The E in wealthy is establish your destination. So where am I going financially, right? Because if you are just going to pick up and get on a path and you don't even know where you're going, then, you're just going to be wandering. So just figure out in the first place, what do I want to see? And think bigger than just the everyday pay the bills and that kind of thing, right? Your destination is your vision. So it's about dreaming big. And when the dreams, right, when the visualizations come to you, don't kill them, because we do that a lot, right? We see these things and they look so huge to us. It's like, I can't accomplish that. And you kill your dreams. What I tell people is that our dreams are God's way of saying, this is what I want to give to you. This is what I want to give to you. So let your dreams flow, right? And once you've let your dreams flow and you know exactly where you want to be, you want to assess your current financial situation. So what is going on with me now, right? It might be that I find myself, that the job is gone. I am having issues collecting unemployment and I have no funds set aside to help me with my day-to-day. And so you might find yourself that this is my situation. What am I going to do? What are you going to do is address all those things. So first of all, you got to figure out, how am I going to replace this income, right? We have to think, and I believe we're speaking to entrepreneurs, right? So we have to think strategically. We have to think that God has placed in our hands so many gifts and so many talents, that what can I do with these things? And go to him if you don't know, right? Or seek the help that you need. But believe me, while there are folks who are suffering in this climate that we're in, there are folks who are doing really well, right? And that's because they have decided, like, listen, right? One of the things that my coach, like, she anticipated all of this happening. And before it even started happening, she was like, you cannot give up, right? You cannot give up. You cannot assume that people aren't going to buy what you have. You have to keep going. And she just gave us that, from the start. So that's what I'm giving you today. You cannot give up. People are buying more today than you would believe. And so you have to now, whatever it is that you're going to market with, you have to, believe that you have the value. You have to pile on the value, right, in your offers and go to market. Don't be afraid. We cannot win with fear. And the fear is going to come, but it's how you deal with the fear. So my thing is, you got to ask yourself, what do I need to do to replace this income, right? What do I need to do? Even if I don't get the 6-figure income that I had, what do I need to get even halfway there? So that, so you just have to, it's a determination. It's assessing where you are and then figuring out where you want to go and map out. That's what a GPS does, right? A GPS says, this is where you are. It's going to ask you, what's your current location, right? And then the GPS also says, where do you want to go? And that's when it maps out your route. You need to do the very same thing with your finances. Where am I today? Where do I want to be? If this happens to me again, I will not be caught without an emergency fund to help me, right? I will not be caught, not having a budget in place. And so that's part of the mapping out that I need to do a budget every month, make a determination that I'm going to put some funds aside for emergencies, right? So it's just a matter of knowing where you are, where you want to be, and working towards it. Work like it depends on you and pray like it depends on God. That's my advice.
Oh, I love that. Work like it depends on you and pray like it depends on God. I know that's right. And you brought up a very good point too. You know, this will be the last time I deal with this in this way. This is the last time I handle it this way, or I'm caught this way. And one of the things that we still see so many people are struggling with is having that emergency fund. What are some ways that they can go and start to build, if they haven't done so already, an emergency fund? Or for those who have started to build it and they're like, well, it seems to be going nowhere fast, how can they be able to add more to their emergency fund?
Yeah. So I want to address the person that says it seemed to be going nowhere fast, right? Because a lot of times in life, that's what we focus on. It's not happening quick enough. But is it happening? Are you adding to it consistently? That's what matters, right? So first of all, let's just say you need to define what's an emergency. And it's just, whenever things that's unexpected happen, because it's important to define that, because a lot of people would justify an emergency and pull the funds out. And that's why it's not building, because, oh, this is an emergency, when it's really not an emergency. So you have to have that definition in your mind, what an emergency is. I lost my job. I was driving down the highway and my car blew out, my tires blew out. That wasn't expected. Or something happened with the roof and now I have to fix it. That wasn't expected, right? But the kids are going back to school and I need clothes for the kids. That's not an emergency, but that's something that you should have been planning for, because we know that kids grow, right? And so, you just have to first identify what an emergency is, and then just know how much money you need to have in your emergency fund. So in your emergency fund, you need to have 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. And let's talk about business as well. In your business emergency fund, you should have 3 to 6 months of your operating expenses in your business as well, right? And so you might, so let's say your living expenses is $4,000 a month. Then in your emergency fund, you need to have $12,000 to $24,000 in your emergency fund. And I know a lot of, and that's where the person that says this is going nowhere fast, because I need to get to 12 to 24,000 and I'm only at 1,000. Well, guess what? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. One bite at a time. And so if you're sitting today listening to this and you have zero in your emergency fund, I say as quickly as possible, let's get to $1,000. That's your starter emergency fund. Let's get to 1,000, and then we're going to work our way up to that 3 to 6 months. And how do you do that? And you have to put a budget in place and budget out funds for your emergency fund, right? You have to look at your expenses and figure out, because I know there's the next thing is going to be, but Dr. Ranelli, I'm already living paycheck to paycheck, or I'm just barely making it. How am I going to put funds aside for emergency? You are going to deal with the essentials, and the things that are non-essential, you're going to let them go for the time being. Remember, we're not here to live mediocre lives, right? We're here, the Bible wants us to live abundant lives, right? And so, but we may need to make some sacrifices today, right? So that in the future, we can live the lives that we want to live. So go through your expenses. What are some of the things that you can let go of? Do you have some subscriptions that you're paying for that you have not been using, but the money is coming out month after month? That's one of the first things, right? Right there, those $9, those $27, they add up. And so if you have some of those, let's cancel them and divert those funds to your emergency fund. Another thing is that we gather things in our homes that we don't use, that we don't need, and someone else would love to have those things. So what about taking inventory in your house of those things that someone else would consider valuable, that they would want to purchase, put it up on the marketplace, sell those things, and put those funds into your emergency fund, right? How about, deciding that I am going to do a particular launch outside of what I already planned for my business, but I'm going to do this special launch that's going to go towards my emergency fund. We just have to think outside of the box. We just have to come up with ways and means and ideas. And you would be surprised what a determined mind would do. So, instead of sitting back and saying that this is not working, or, my hands are tied. No, your hands are not tied. You just have to tap into the brilliance that God has given you, come up with the ideas, the strategies, execute the ideas and strategies, and you might be surprised at how far that takes you.
Now, I love what you said about the emergency fund and determining what an emergency is, because I really feel like a lot of times we determine what an emergency is based upon emotion. Mm-hmm. And we can't use emotion when we're determining what's an emergency and what's not, but because that goes in business, life, finances. Somebody will come to you and it's you're emotional because of that person, who that person is to you, and they may have an emergency, but it's not your emergency. And I feel like a lot of times financially, that's what we do. We go and we're like, oh, and so-and-so had a bad day, and so we need to have a girls' day. We need to go get our nails done. We need to go do this. And you're like, well, wait. That's not really an emergency. There are other things that you can do to console that person. And we understand you have a relationship with that person, mm-hmm. but we gotta rewire some things.
Yeah.
So in determining, what's an emergency, what does that look like?
Yeah, you have, like you said, it has to be planned ahead of time so that you are not making emotional decisions, right? You have to focus up front and lay out what is truly an emergency, right? And a girlfriend's day out is not an emergency. Now, I'm not saying that you don't deserve that, or your friend who's going through something don't deserve you consoling them by taking them out or whatever, right? But that needs to be budgeted. In your budget, it's okay, and you should include entertainment. You should include it. You got to be realistic. You should include getting your hair done when this whole pandemic is over. Or, right? You should include getting your hair done and your nails done and, all those things. However, those are not emergencies. Those are things that should be in your budget. They should be in your budget. And if they're not, then you didn't determine that they were priorities, right? Because what goes into your budget are priority items, right? We got to make sure that we have somewhere to live, that we, our kids don't go hungry, and all these different things, they need to be budgeted. And so if self-care and entertainment is part of what makes you a more productive person, right? A more well-rounded person, then that needs to go in your budget as well.
Oh, you just gave them some fire right there, because that's been one of those Achilles heel for a lot of people is just determining what is a budget. What it.
And I want to say too that a lot of people, and that's why they steer away from a budget, because when they think of a budget, they think of something that's going to restrict you.
Exactly.
But if you think about it another way and just think this is just a way of me telling my money where to go, for me assigning an event or or some item to every single dollar that I bring in. That's what it is. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
And because we think of it that way, we never think that we could put fun things on our budget. Of course you should. Of course you absolutely should. You should be budgeting for your vacations. You should be budgeting for all these things.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Speakeasy Podcast listeners, I hope you guys were taking notes. You may need to go and listen to this episode a couple times and go back to it and reference it, as we're moving forward. So that way, 2020 is not over. It's not canceled. We can end the year strong, and 2020 does not have to look like 2021 does not have to look like 2020 for us. So that part, and this is why we value the guests that we bring on, because I'm sure that you can reach out to Dr. Ranelli for any information. So let them know how they can reach you for more information and where they can find you at online.
Yeah, so if you want to reach out to me by email, you can email me at info@erjservices.com. That's info@erjservices.com. Or you can find me in my Facebook community, the Profitable Entrepreneurs Network. So go search for that group, the Profitable Entrepreneurs Network, and join us there. As well as, at Dr. Ranelli Williams, all over social media.
Good. Oh my goodness, guys. We do not have to live through and rehearse the things of our past. We don't have to rehearse the things that have not been making us money and not putting us in the best financial place that we can be. It is time for your comeback. This is your comeback financial plan. And guys, we're doing it because, listen, without the Speakeasy Podcast listeners, there is no Speakeasy Podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we want to see you succeed. With that being said, I'm your host, Altavis Pelzer, and until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.